Pete Hegseth meeting with top Republicans on Capitol Hill yesterday, discussing the potential of a Reconciliation 3.0 package. President Trump urging Congress to pass additional defense spending, bringing the Pentagon's budget to $1.5 trillion. Meanwhile, Capitol Hill just about 2 weeks away from its August recess. Republicans warning Democrats will keep trying to interfere with the president's agenda. Outgoing Texas Senator John Cornyn saying this after meeting with Hegseth. Listen.
There's obviously been an expensive Operation Epic Fury, and they are running short of funding they need in order to acquire the weapons and missiles and things like that that they need to protect the nation. So I certainly support what they're trying to do, but Democrats right now are threatening basically to shut down the government and not cooperate in any sort of defense funding at all. So I told them it's going to be a pretty precarious effort, but I was committed to helping, and because I think it's very important.
Joining me now is Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald. He also serves on the Financial Services Committee. Congressman, good morning to you. Will you be able to get a Reconciliation 3.0 done before August?
Well, I typically take my cues from Jason Smith, who's the chair of Ways and Means. He was not optimistic as of last time I spoke to him. So I heard Senator Thune yesterday, though, say, listen, there are some things like another $350 billion for defense that they would like to see included over in the Senate. So there seems to be this discussion going on, but it's really hard for me to see kind of what the end game is on it right now. So it's still up in the air.
All right. So certainly there's going to be a lot to follow there. But, you know, more importantly, it's the fall calendar ahead of the midterms. And I think that's kind of the bigger question mark. I mean, what can you get done? Now, the conflict in Iran is winding down, so that may be taken off of the table. But there's still the affordability issue that you and your colleagues are facing. How do you I guess, thread that needle come the fall?
Well, there's a lot of bills that have been bouncing between the House and the Senate that I think would kind of meet that need for the affordability stuff. We just had a huge victory yesterday in that the U.S. Senate passed the 21st century housing bill. This is a huge deal for us. A lot of people didn't think that Congress could actually get this accomplished. But with back and forth with Chairman Hill, it happened yesterday. So we're going to see that coming up very quickly. So there's a lot of things that I think Congress can accomplish, certainly before the August recess. It's just a matter of kind of pulling together the small pieces and then going back to our appropriations process, which has served us well up until this point.
But you're going to be introducing a new affordability, a bill for U.S. housing affordability, though, another new bill. Real quick, tell us about that.
Yeah, just, you know, one of the things we hear is that contractors around the nation are really frustrated about just the regulation involved. And it ends up forcing up the cost per home, you know, to $500,000, $600,000. New couples can't jump in at that point. So we've got 3 bills, actually, that will be rolling out. Again, trying to address this affordability question.
I say housing and healthcare, the two things I always talk about here on Fox Business that are really, those are the affordability issues, the biggest ones. Now, President Trump is doubling down on his demand for Congress to tie the Save America Act to new FISA legislation. Now, the president posted on Truth Social early this morning. Here's what he wrote. For the good of the nation and the people of our country, I will not approve FISA without the Save America Act going along with it. Not complicated, actually. The Republicans fell into a trap. Congressman, the House passed the Save America Act, but Senate Majority Leader Thune told Maria that there are not the votes to do that in the upper chamber. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think when it comes to intelligence director, there's some gamesmanship going on right now with the president pulling back on Jay Clayton. We need to get this done. It's not only having an effect directly on some of the intelligence decisions made in relationship to Iran, but I think there is a bipartisan kind of level of support, but we have to kind of pull all that together very quickly. So it's something that the president has to kind of drive, I think, from the White House. But I think Congress would be willing to go along with that if we can just get to the right place on this.
All right. So President Trump also told reporters yesterday from Europe that he wouldn't mind sending the Iran deal to Congress for their approval. Now, Republican senators expressing interest in reviewing the nuclear agreement and even ratifying the deal. Congressman, so what do you think of the deal that President Trump has made with the Iranians? Would you ratify it?
Yeah, I think many members are asking for a formal briefing on the MOU. There's so many different pieces to it. But overall, yeah, I mean, I like kind of where we're at in that the overall goal and the achievement that President Trump set out for was that Iran cannot have that nuclear program. And that certainly is going to be achieved. You know, I'm hopeful that some of these other things that are being reported can be confirmed one way or another. And I think they will, certainly by the White House at some point. But, you know, it looks like, you know, gas prices are going to drop at some point, which will take some of the pressure off, I think, of the overall discussion about whether we should have gone in and picked this fight in the first place. Certainly, I've supported the president up until this point, and I'm hopeful that some of this stuff can be confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed, and also, you know, the tangibles, and that is, of course, getting the Iranians to honor the agreement, which is maybe a big ask. Congressman, I've actually got Luke Ball. He's a former House Communications Director. Where you are, he's got a question for you.
Hey, good morning, Congressman. Stepping back to FISA real quick. Traditionally, over the last decade, conservatives and FISA have been like oil and water. And there's been a lot of angst since the Trump campaign was spied on, and we saw a lot of FISA abuse over the last few years, especially with respect to Carter Page and the FBI leaving out 17 instances that would undermine the argument for getting a warrant to spy. So where do you see this reauthorization going, and is there room for conservatives to extend it? Because as I see it, we have until March of this upcoming year to reauthorize FISA. So what's the rush?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one thing that's been debatable. If you look at the intelligence portion of any military operations order, certainly there is information gained on a daily basis related to FISA inquiries. So I know that I've heard that kind of push to, you know, just continue as we're operating right now. I still think that that's somewhat dangerous. There's more information that needs to be gathered on a daily basis. What I would say, though, is the warrant that so many people have talked about, and I think members in both the House and the Senate have been reluctant to move forward without, is not something the White House is ever going to go along with. So if as long as that continues to be the situation, for me, it's very difficult to see FISA moving forward with something more significant than what's in place right now when it comes to the warrant.
Interesting, interesting. Well, certainly there is a lot at play right now where you are, a lot of work to still be done. Congressman Scott Fitzgerald, thank you, Congressman, for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Cheryl.
All right.